Alrighty, guys, gals, non-binary pals, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are going to be talking about Rebel Wilson, who actually recently hosted the BAFTAs. If you don't know what the BAFTAs are, it stands for British Academy of Film and Television Arts. If you don't know what that is, I understand. It happens in the UK, and I'm not even sure if the UK is actually a real place on Earth. I'm also sure there are a few people watching this that maybe don't know who Rebel Wilson is. She is an actress. She's actually from Australia, but she's most known for her role, I think, in like Pitch Perfect. Fat Amy is pretty much like, I would say, the most popular role she's had, but she's had a lot of roles, especially in the past, where she was like the funny fat chick. That was kind of her thing, right? And so recently she has actually lost quite a bit of weight, and whenever that happens, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things about that, you know, especially with celebrities, and then even on top of that, especially with women, it's definitely even more focused on. And so we're going to be talking about the fact that she hosted this award ceremony. She talked about the fact that she had lost weight, and people were upset about that. So let's get into it. This is the article right here. So it's from marieclaire.uk.co. It says, why Rebel Wilson joking about her weight loss so shows how much pressure women are still under, by Ali Head. So it goes on to say, she made the quip as she hosted the BAFTAs last night. Last night, BAFTA saw a dress code nod to Ukraine. Shirley Bassey kick off the evening with a rendition of Diamonds Are Forever. And Millie Bobby Brown make her red carpet debut with John Bon Jovi's son. Dude, I do not understand how anyone reads this and finds this interesting, but to each their own. Hosting the star-studded evening was actor and comedian Rebel Wilson, best known for her producing and roles as Amy in Pitch Perfect and Bryn in Bridesmaids. It's funny that they just say Amy, not Fat Amy. She made headlines over the last few years following her year of health, where she focused on getting fit, eating more healthily, drinking less, and sleeping more. Incorporating a healthy lifestyle meant she lost weight too. But the media scrutiny of this aspect of her wellness has been, in a word, relentless. Honestly, it's not just media. It's like even like social media, people just making so many claims, which we'll get into later, about how what she's doing is bad or how she's a bad person. It's freaking crazy, man. But barely a day goes by without another article citing a diet fad as the reason for her quote-unquote transformation. Addressing her weight loss straight off the bat last night in her opening speech, she said, "I might look a bit different from the last time you guys saw me here," as an image of her hosting the awards from 2020 appeared on the screen. "This was me 2 years ago, and since then, I've done quite a transformation." She then went on to joke that she lost weight to boost her career, jesting that thinner women are given more opportunities. "Everybody is asking me, why did you lose weight?" Well, clearly it was to get the attention of Robert Pattinson. If you don't know who that is, Twilight, or more recently, the actor in The Batman. Just joking, she continued. Guys, seriously, I did not lose weight just for a guy, as if I did it to get more acting roles. Celebrities around the room were quick to respond, with some including Emma Watson looking visibly uncomfortable at Wilson's decision to show her before and after photos to the crowd. Now, I'm going to show the video where this is from. Just while you're watching it, think about what this article is saying, because I definitely think that it's priming your brain to think a certain way. But that's besides the point. Some fans have pointed out that perhaps Wilson knew that the media would comment on her weight loss, prompting her to take the matter into her own hands in an attempt to control or at least lighten the narrative. There, I can definitely understand. I know what it's like to try and get ahead of things. When I was bigger, I called myself the funny fat guy, because if I made fun of myself first, other people couldn't make fun of me. So I can understand that being a thing, because I'm sure anytime she is literally seen in public, she deals with this stuff, right? So bring it up before other people can bring it up. I totally get that. She said recently in an interview with Hollywood Reporter, "When you're a comedian, you use things about your physicality to your advantage. And I used being plus size to my advantage in many comedy movies. Some people have said to me, now that you lost weight, are you scared you won't be funny anymore? I like to make a joke about myself first because it is different." Now, this is really interesting, because I was actually thinking about this because I read this article earlier and did all the research. And it's interesting because I'm kind of curious what you guys think about this. For me, I used to joke about my weight all the time. I used to make, like, you know, I would joke about the fact that I was big, or I would always like say I mentioned this in a video recently, but I would put on my Instagram captions like cutest person in the room, or like super sexy, right? And that was funny, at least I thought it was funny when I was like 19, 20, right? Because in my head, I was like, that's clearly not the case. If I were to do that now, right, I think it would be seen completely differently. People would be like, this dude is completely full of himself, right? And the same thing is, if I were to, like, if I made fat jokes while I was losing the weight, I don't think anyone would have had a problem with it. If I made fat jokes right after I had lost the weight, maybe some people, but I know now, if I were to make fat jokes, people would have a problem with it, right? So I'm kind of curious, when is the line drawn? When is it no longer okay to make fun of your former self, because now you're so far removed from that former self that making fun of it is now just making fun of other people that are like that, right? I don't know the answer, but that was just something I was thinking about. But moving on to the article, however, many fans shared mixed feelings about the gags. Some have said that Wilson's decision to address the subject head-on only further reinforces that women still feel an immense amount of pressure to look a certain way and deflect with jokes if they don't in today's society. And then it has a bunch of like Twitter things. I'm not going to read those. A quick scroll of Twitter brings up thousands of results about the actor, many discussing her hosting and close to the bone quips, with many others making cruel comments and jokes about her weight loss. While Wilson, this is a tweet I think, while Wilson may well be healthier at her current weight, we aren't doctors qualified to comment on such matters, and if we were, it wouldn't be professional to do so in a public platform anyway. We need to get to a point where, as humans, we place value outside of aesthetic looks and stop commenting on other people's weight loss, especially celebrities. Even at an event like the BAFTAs, what a great name, where the focus is meant to be solely outstanding talent in the film industry, the majority of the comments are still about how she, as host, looked. It's time we do better. So that's the entire article. I'm going to play part of the whole kind of monologue. Honestly, like, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. Some of it's funny, some of it's not very funny, but I'm going to play the parts that are relevant to this specific article, and then I have some more stuff to say afterwards.
I might look a bit different from the last time that you guys saw me here. Yeah. That was me 2 years ago, and since then I've done quite a transformation. I hope J.K. Rowling still approves. JK. Everybody's asking me, like, why did you lose weight? Well, clearly it was to get the attention of Robert Pattinson. Because you know what they say, once you go bat, you don't go back. Just joking. Guys, seriously, I did not lose weight just for a guy, as if. I did it to get more acting roles. Boy, I am now so excited I can play the non-funny love interest in an Adam Sandler movie.
The thing that I think shows the narrative this article is trying to craft the most is that line that I talked about earlier where it says, celebrities around the room were quick to respond, with some, including Emma Watson, looking visibly uncomfortable at Wilson's decision to show her before and after photos to the crowd. Now, why do I think that this is interesting? Because it doesn't even just say that she looked uncomfortable, which if you're watching the video, maybe she just didn't think the joke was funny. It's really hard to say how someone is feeling just by their look on their face. But it says she was uncomfortable because she decided to show her before and after photos, right? I'm like, it's literally impossible to know that unless you had a conversation with her and then she said, this is why I was uncomfortable. Maybe she was uncomfortable because she didn't think it was very funny. Maybe she was uncomfortable because she didn't like the fact that it was a before and after photo. Maybe she was uncomfortable because it was going on longer than it needed to. Who knows? But it's clear. It's just funny because this whole article is about how, like, we need to do better with celebrities and not doing this and that. And then this whole article is completely crafting a narrative about Rebel Wilson and the fact that before and after photos made a bunch of people uncomfortable, right? Who knows? Did it make some people uncomfortable? I'm sure. But did it also not make a bunch of people uncomfortable? I'm sure as well. One thing, whenever a celebrity loses weight, there is always a ton of discourse about the fact that whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, how does this affect other people that are trying to lose weight? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing, right? That is always going on. Now, with her, there was definitely a lot of talk, and I found a TikTok that I think really does a good job of summing up what a lot of the people that I personally don't really agree with, but what a lot of their issues were with her.
Whenever a celebrity changes their appearance in a big way, there is a lot of media coverage. So of course, Rebel Wilson's weight loss has been getting a lot of coverage, and I've unfortunately been bombarded by it. And I finally clicked on one of the stories to be like, okay, what are they actually saying about her? And it was a Snapchat story that had just this throwaway line about how in an interview she had talked about being fat helping her career and really jump-starting her. And although that's not uncommon, use what you got, whatever, something about it just seemed off, so I tried to look into it. And it was extremely hard to find the actual interview. I had to be very specific and use as much as I could remember from the quote to find it. So in this interview, she talks about the beginning of her career, where she was starring in her first play that was also casted with another larger girl. And she's like, oh, like she's getting more laughs. You know, I don't think there's much of a difference in talent. I think it's because she's fatter. Maybe if I was a bit fatter. And then suddenly I was fatter and doing comedy. And she goes on to say, like, I saw my size as an advantage, whereas so many women see it as a disadvantage. I took something that was seen as a disadvantage. No one thinks if you're fat, you're going to be an actress and everyone's going to love you, and turned it into a positive. Now, she's gone on to being interviewed and asked about her weight almost obsessively, which isn't her fault, but the responses that she gives are usually along the lines of, I decided to stop being lazy, no more junk food, and I really just wanted to take care of myself. Now, I do understand that that is how some people can lose weight, especially if you intentionally gained weight. But if you've built your career on the backs of fat people and then become a poster child for this diet culture, oh, it's so easy. Like, you can do it. I did it. You can do it. There are fat celebrities who have lost weight and like, yeah, like I was just really lucky. I have the money. I was able to do these things. I could very easily gain it back, especially like John Goodman, who was like, yeah, you know, I lost the weight and I was really fortunate I was able to, but it's not easy for everyone. Someone had mentioned that she also was promoting diet pills. I saw that there was something back in 2014 where people were illegally using her image, and I have seen keto pills marketed with her name, but not her advertising them. And this isn't about canceling. This is about having a degree of responsibility, especially if that's the community that gave you your platform.
I know that was kind of a long TikTok, but I wanted to let them be able to, share their whole point. So basically, the main point that I saw was basically Rebel Wilson intentionally gained weight to become more popular, to be quote unquote more funny, and then she lost weight, and she lost weight, and it wasn't really even that hard for her because she intentionally gained the weight. That's the argument that we're hearing here. And then she goes on to say that she also has a problem with the fact that, Rebel Wilson was like, yeah, I just stopped being lazy and I started working out and eating better, and that's how I lost weight. And she says, well, that's like, it makes sense because you intentionally gained weight. Now, I want to read the part of the article that she referenced. So again, the article says, and I was like, oh, that girl's getting a lot of laughs, a lot easier than me. What is it? Because I don't think there's much of a difference in talent. And I remember distinctly thinking, I think it's because she's fatter, Wilson said. And then I don't know if it was mega conscious, but I thought, how do I get more laughs? Maybe if I was a bit fatter, and then suddenly I was fatter and doing comedy, right? So that's the quote. So she never says, I got bigger to make people think I was funnier, right? I think with anyone, especially if you're struggling with your weight at any point, it's easy to continue struggling with your weight and then you get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, there is an argument to be made that, yeah, for people, like being bigger can make people quote unquote funnier. Like, I think that without a doubt is a trope that we see, like the funny fat guy, like the Chris Farleys of the world. Like that is something that you do notice, but like, do I think that Rebel Wilson said, hey, I am going to intentionally get fatter so I can be funnier to people? I don't know. It's really hard to say, but this person clearly thinks that that's the case. In the article, she goes on to say, I saw my size as being an advantage, she added, whereas so many women see it as a disadvantage. I took something that was seen as a disadvantage. No one thinks that if you're fat that you're going to be an actress and everyone's going to love you, right? So like, it seems like at this part in the interview, she's trying to be like, you know, I didn't let my size stop me from doing the things that I wanted to do. I used it as an advantage. That doesn't, like, I'm not reading that as like cynically like, oh, she knew that she was like, it was just like, hey, I know that I'm bigger, but I decided that regardless of whatever disadvantage you might think that I'll have, I'm going to turn this into a positive. And it's just, it seems like a very cynical and negative way to see it, as I'm going to look at this in the lens of this person intentionally gained weight for many, many, many years so they can get popular and then decide to lose weight and try and retain that popularity. I personally feel like that is like some mega mind, like super big brain, like evil genius type stuff that I don't think was going on. But again, that's just my opinion. So to sum everything up, Rebel Wilson lost weight, hosted this show in UK that doesn't really exist, and you know, people were upset about it. The fact that she used a before picture and she showed that, right? And then people started saying that, oh, a bunch of people were really uncomfortable because of, you know, the fact that there was a before picture on the screen. Who knows? And then I wanted to share like the other arguments that people have of the fact that Rebel Wilson apparently had a huge conspiracy theory and she gained weight on purpose to become famous. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. What do y'all think about everything? I thought this was really interesting because, again, whenever someone loses weight in the public spotlight, there's always a ton of scrutiny and conversation about it. And so, you know, those are my thoughts. I would love to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, a thumbs up always helps. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.